At a time when the American president was preparing for his debut address at the United Nations General Assembly in New York, the foreign minister of the European Union held a closed-door meeting in the same city. The meeting was held on the Australia-France submarine deal worth $40 billion, which was scrapped by Australia in favor of the newly formed AUKUS alliance. Australia pulled out from the submarine deal with France and signed a new nuclear-powered submarine deal with the US and the UK. After meeting, the European foreign minister expressed solidarity with France, while France called Australia's actions a serious breach of trust.
Inside the Council, and my duty is explain what has happened inside the Council, the position has been this clear expression of solidarity with France and the consideration that this was not a bilateral issue but a relationship with the European Union that affects all of us, and also the fact that it doesn't go in the direction of a greater cooperation in the Indo-Pacific, which is our purpose.
Of course, I have a great understanding for the disappointment of our French partners, and we are also in close exchange. It is once again a wake-up call for all of us in the European Union to ask ourselves how we can strengthen our sovereignty, how we can present a united front even on issues relevant to foreign and security policy, and how we can also put our economic weight and our political weight in the balance in such a way that we can contribute to security, to lateralism, and so that our values are also firmly anchored on the global level.
The first discussions between foreign ministers, Minister Le Drian and Josep Borrell, were very positive, in the sense that European solidarity and the support for France were extremely clear. There is a serious breach of trust, and therefore we cannot pretend that nothing has happened. So we must keep all options on the table, absolutely.
The European Union is keenly watching every development and listening to every message coming in from the Biden administration. While President Biden did mention standing by his allies, it will take a lot more than that to soothe the frayed ties. Earlier, we spoke to our correspondent Giles Gibson, who joined us from Brussels. Take a look.
We've seen the French in particular pushing back very strongly against the AUKUS deal, the French recalling their ambassador to Washington as a way of signalling their fury. We've also seen the European Commission and the European Union really lining up behind France in that entire dispute. But listening to this speech, you did hear some echoes of what European leaders have been saying in recent days about climate change. We saw President Biden, of course, no surprise there, talking a lot about climate change, saying that it is a borderless climate crisis, really sending this message that it's not up to individual countries to fight this crisis, but that there has to be universal action, that countries have to get together to fight climate change. And I was covering last week the State of the Union speech by Ursula von der Leyen, the President of the European Commission, to the European Parliament down in Strasbourg, and we saw a very similar message from her, talking about how the world needs to get together to fight climate change. And just like Joe Biden as well, we saw Ursula von der Leyen throwing it forward to that COP26 United Nations Climate Change Conference that's coming up in just a couple of months' time in Glasgow in the UK. So we saw Joe Biden, in the same way that we saw Ursula von der Leyen do in her speech last week, really putting the pressure on world leaders to get ready for that crucial conference that's coming up in November.
WION now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the news on the move.